Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I am your host, the amazing Super Chris Mallard. Thank you for joining me today. I got ears on because I'm trying to listen to myself and see if I got any audio issues. We'll see. So far, I mean, the mic, we'll see. Good morning, everyone. I guess it is Thursday. We are that much closer to the weekend. I've got lots of sinning planned for this weekend. I hope you do too. I've actually been, blaspheming as well. Extra hard on the blaspheming. We'll talk about stuff later. One of the things I wanted to, we've kind of run across lately a lot seems to be the whole Christian projection thing. And so that's why I thought I'd touch upon that topic today. And I don't think it'll take very long before they show up and prove us right.
Hello, and welcome to Shakespeare with a Redneck. What the? I am Wild Bill Wigglestick, and I'll be your handsome host, your gilded guide, your cowboy concierge of Shakespeare. Dude, really? Today on Shakespeare with a Redneck, I'm going to perform the prologue from Romeo and Juliet. Damn it, Bill. Two households, both alike in dignity in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Hey, that wasn't half bad. I'm not as dumb as I look. Of course not. You'd be in a coma. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the situation. Bill, two snot-nosed brats ignore the warnings of their learned parents and end up getting 4 people killed. Bill, come on, man. You're always blah, blah, atheist stuff, blah, blah, boring. Say something fun, for goodness sake. What? Particle is a fun word. Bill, particle. Bill, or talk about horses and dogs. People love horses and dogs. Or boobies. Everybody loves boobies. Bill. Oh, can I say boobies on YouTube? If you close your eyes, it doesn't count. Talk about boobies then. Okay, everybody loves those cute little blue-footed bastards. It hurts right here. Culture, baby, coming at you. Avoid bringing a plague on both your houses. A plague on both your houses! By hitting that subscribe button, then that little notification bell. And bang that thumbs up button like frisky cousins at a family reunion. Thank you and take care. Peace.
All right, good morning, everyone. The evil one is simply dying for me to come out with a new Wild Bill. And of course, I've been working on, we have been working on developing a new product at Father Flanagan's laboratories. And the product that we've been really focusing on lately is the Father Flanagan's Instaju tool that is part of our, You Do You Jew line of products, interfaith outreach products. It's just really hard trying to create something like that and explain something like that and to make it happen, but I'm almost there. Good morning, Davey Dusto. Good to meet you. Super Oppressor here again, ready to listen to some Christian hate. Ooh, awesome. Are you awesome? There you go. You used to be able to give entire hate speeches on YouTube. Huh. Don't they still do that? Sermons, I think they're called. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I've been sitting here thinking, what do you think, man? Friends and foes, what do you think? I mean, it's like Atheist Bible study or the Atheist sermon or some of that business. I spend most of my time digging through the Bible. Oh, that's good. I could hear that whenever I went over here. You lost me a little bit. I could hear that. Okay. Sorry, guys. I've made, ever since I changed the computer, I've had some comments that you were having a hard time hearing me. So I'm trying to work on it. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. Beard of Empathy says I really should do some extra blasphemies this weekend, while I do my sins and other atheisms. There you go. I plan on, one of the things I've got going on is I'm going to be doing some atheisting both here at the house and out in public. So, it's one of the things I plan on doing. I'm actually thinking about getting a shirt that says atheisting, Good morning, Randall Flagg, Dusty Davo, Godspeed, CHR, our delusional friend. Good morning, Beard of Empathy. I hear you stepped up and stepped out last night. Thank you very much. We much appreciate you. Miss Non Sequitur, good morning. McTime, good morning. How you doing? Hope everything's going great. With all of you wonderful people. Chemical Squirrel. Good morning, Chemical Squirrel. Nice to see you. I dig the name. The name has always killed me. It always has. And Flockmeister. Good morning, Flocky. How are you doing today? I hope everybody's having a great time. So we often get the opportunity to see here Christian projection. Now, okay. Christians do not own, and projection is not exclusive to Christians. It's not just them, right? It's not just everybody does it. I'm sure to some degree, one degree or another. It's just like one of their signature moves. And, I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, I thought about it. I think about it all the time because they'll come in here and they'll be like, you don't really believe there's no God. In your heart, there's a God. And I'm like, aha, some Christian projection. See, you don't really believe there's a God. You're struggling really hard. And now you're coming in here projecting that on me. Baby. That sort of thing. Sorry. But in their case with their projection, it's so prevalent. It happens so often. And again, they'll do it in here all the time, right here in my own little chat. Accuse us of things they do. All the time. Now, again, I hadn't really thought about it until I did some studies. I was studying up on the subject because I do that sort of thing. Study, right? And I come across a couple of scriptures where Jesus or Paul, depending on which scripture it is, are talking about this kind of hypocrisy that is projection with Christians. You've probably even heard the expression, you're going to complain about a splinter in somebody else's eye when you've got a log in yours. You've heard that, right? Or some business, something to that effect. Yeah, that's kind of what that's about. And so it goes way back. One of the things that I think is funny and ironic, powerfully ironic, is that we get Christians in here like our CHR friend here. Good morning, CHR. And they'll come in here and they're like, use your reason, use your brain, think for yourself, find Jesus. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like everything was great until he was like, find Jesus. So that contradicts everything before that. Lean not on your own understanding, sort of thing. Fisher of Men is here. Just good morning. He just said it, not paying attention. You love Jesus. Hi, Tipu Sultan. How are you doing today? Nice to see you. You love Jesus. That's cool. I mean, we get all kinds here. There are those who are aggressive and those who are genuine. And it's hard not to become so bristled from dealing with the ones that are not genuine, that are just jerks to be jerks, that whenever somebody comes in and who is genuine, who has actual real questions, it's hard not to snap and go, are those real questions or are you just being a jerk or leading up to something? So good morning to the newbie Christian in the chat. Good morning to you as well. For the cosmic turtle would punish your heresy, but the cosmic turtle don't give a fuck. I suspect the cosmic turtle is quite lazy in that fashion. Good morning, Hypatia Stanhope. It's called exegesis. Exegesis, is that what you... Hooked on Phonics is not working for me today. Care to help me understand verse? Ooh, which verse? I'm curious. But one of the things, though, that we were talking about is the... find Charlie. He's in the jungle. Okay. Hello from Epstein Island. Good morning. Retro Rocket. Luke 12:10. Everyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but the one who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. Thank you, Retro Rocket. That is fantastic. Matter of fact, I have Luke 12 right here on the screen. And that's one of my favorites. Isn't it amazing right here? Isn't it amazing that it's not a sin an unforgivable sin to do anything like essay children or murder people or do any of that business. None of that is the unforgivable sin. But speaking poorly against an imaginary creature, that is the sin that will get you to burn forever. Really? How moral? That's very moral. Very moral. Lead by example. Let me pull this off the screen here. Toggle picked up. We will see how true it is. My friend, I have been getting ignored in the comments when addressing how you interpret Scripture. Maybe I should make this freaking font bigger on here. So do others, but we get ignored or shrugged off. We want a friendly chat. You know, I get that sometimes. Sometimes I get on a rant and I'm going on about myself, right? But we can do things like that. We can do things like here in this chapter of Luke, verse 12. This is where Jesus, kind of a lot of things happen here. And we could talk about that. This is one of those where I tell you, you've heard me say before, and as I was reading it this morning, I was kind of amazed by how many different times I've referenced this scripture or this verse and chapter. I didn't even know it, this chapter. I tell you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, and after that can do no more. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after your body has been killed, has authority to throw you into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. That's Jesus. So right here, oh, that is good. I can really tell that okay. And you're right. There's also the thing in the same chapter where he does exactly this, what you said. The worst thing you can possibly do is speak poorly of this imaginary creature, because my chatter and little monkey lips and what I say can offend it. Right? My words can harm your God creature. So much so that it is the only unforgivable sin. Is that kind of where we're going with that? Right. It sounds like the person who's trying to get you to believe in this religion and this God creature don't want you to talk bad about the God creature, because then you won't believe in the God creature, right? And so that's kind of makes sense thing. Anyway. But there's more wonderful things here. Now, but to your point here, my interpretations, you want to discuss with me my interpretations of things, and that's not really, I don't think, what you want to do. And no offense necessarily. I mean, I'll sit in here and I'll talk about right here. It says, Moses says, murder all the little ones among the men, and kill all the women who have known a man, and kill all the women who have known a man, and keep all the girls, the little ones, those among the little ones who have not known a man. And you're going to apologize for that somehow? How are you going to say, what are we going to do? We're going to run them around this little, oh, well, you're misinterpreting that. I'm misunderstanding that somehow. I'm misunderstanding. So you're going to explain to me how I'm misunderstanding that God is telling Moses to murder the entire people. And when his generals came back and didn't actually murder the entire people, he told them to go ahead and kill all of them except the little girls. And you're going to do what? Well, how are you going to? And then we've got other parts in the Bible where I just don't see how there's really any other interpretation of that. Do you? And you, if you think Jesus is God, then God commanded Moses to murder children. And Jesus there by extension, right? And so how are you going to apologize for that? You're going to deny it. Is that what'll happen? I mean, just guessing here. Is that what'll happen? Because that's really all you can do. Or blame it on me. The flaw is mine, that I've misunderstood the text, which clearly says what this text clearly says. It's just like the God commanding Moses to sacrifice his firstborn children. We're going to debate about that. You're going to apologize for that and say he didn't really mean that. That's not what he meant. When Exodus 13, 1 and 2. And you're like, he said you could redeem things. Well, no, I have example right down here, Exodus 13 and 14, where he does say, after you get to this place, then you can redeem. So in every example, the God creature is just a monster. And you're going to you want to talk to me so you can explain to me how I'm misunderstanding that. You know, So I've got all just those few arguments that we've talked about there. And then, of course, we go back to Jesus. If we want to talk about Jesus specifically, we've got this chapter right here. Yeah. Let's do this. This is Jesus telling you to give away all your shit. Don't worry about tomorrow. Come with me today. Then Jesus said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storerooms or barns, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds. Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Now, that's all. I agree with that one. But since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? So, throughout this entire time, and this is kind of a repeat thing, isn't it? Where Jesus tells them to give away their shit. There's another time just before the Romans come where he tells them to, if they have a cloak, go sell it and get a sword or something. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see. Consider, this is not let me come down here. Hold on. Verse 12, Luke, verse 47. The servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows. But the one who does not know and does things deserving punishment will be beaten with few blows. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. That's Jesus explaining to you about beating slaves. And that even this is metaphorical. I mean, if you want to go up. Who then is faithful? Peter asked, Lord, are you telling this parable to us or to everyone? The Lord said, who then is the faithful and the wise, whom the master puts in charge of his servants? So now we're speaking in parables, see? Whom the master. And now Christian apologists like yourself will come in here and say, well, whoa. It says servants. You heard it said servants, right? Well, yeah, it says servants here in this softened up thing, but really in the original Greek, the word was doulos and it meant slave. And so is that what we're going to argue about? Is that how you're going to explain to me that I misunderstood it because it's servant and not slave? Or that it's a metaphor and it's really Jesus talking about your relationship with God, not him actually saying, beat your slaves. Is that how it's going to go? Somehow to make Jesus sound clean out of that? The servant who knows not the master, the servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows. But the one who does not know and does things deserving punishment. This is an innocent man. This is Jesus telling you to beat an innocent slave. He will be beaten with few blows. Praise Jesus. Now, we also, remember I said Luke 12 is one of my first ones because it goes on about itself and it just keeps giving and giving and giving. I have come to bring fire on earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to undergo, and what constraint I am under until it is completed. I have come to bring fire on. No. Do you think that I came to bring peace on earth? No. I tell you, but division. From now on, there will be 5 in one family divided against each other, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and it goes on about itself. He said to the crowd, when you see a cloud rising west, immediately you say it's going to rain. Oh, I thought it was still relevant, like he was going to somehow apologize for what he had just said. But no, he didn't. He just goes on about something else. Oh, that's going to be one of my favorite. He said to the crowd, hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky. How is it that you don't know how to interpret this present time? What the fuck does that even mean? Aliens. It was aliens. Good morning. So let me look at the chat here and see. Whistlegun. How brutal was he while preaching not to harm the least of us? Actually, when you're talking about You talking about the time whenever he pulled the little kid up on his lap? Whistle gun, is that what you're talking about? Pulled a little kid up on his lap? And said that those who hurt the little children? Or those who hurt these children? Is that? Let me know if that's the one you're talking about. I'm working for other people. Working for other people is like we all work for the government, helping other people. Not relevant. Good morning, Boss Titties, though. Let's see. It's saying we'll be paying for more knowledge. I need to make my screen bigger, guys. I'm sorry. It says we'll be paying for more knowledge, the right thing, and doing the wrong thing more than someone who didn't know the right thing was. That doesn't matter at all. You don't care. None of that. I mean, what you say doesn't matter there, Boss Titties. I'm sorry, Zell. It's saying we'll be paying more for knowing the right thing and doing the wrong thing, more than someone who didn't know the right thing and doing the wrong thing. Yeah. Right? That's kind of what it's saying, in a way. Yeah. But it's still telling you overall to discipline someone who has done no wrong, who did not know they had done wrong. And on top of that, it's Jesus. Why doesn't Jesus say, in my name, ask for forgiveness? Right there. Why does he say, go beat that slave? Why doesn't he tell that person, tell that slave right there to ask for forgiveness in my name and you should forgive it? Why didn't he go through any of that? No, it's beat your slave. And he continues on with the metaphor of servants and slaves, or slaves and God. And then there's also the whole other time where he's, servants, obey your masters. Let's see. Yet Christian God is so brutal. Wait a second. Hold on a second. Whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I get that. Oh, that's really okay. That's cool. Yet Christian God is so brutal, disgusting. Stay there, Whistle Gun. I want you to type for me in the chat a scripture. Would you do that for me? Okay, so let's go to Numbers 31. And I would like you to type out for me, if you don't mind, verses 17. Numbers 31, verse 17. Please type that into the chat for me. And tell me that the Christian God is not brutal and disgusting. Can you do that for me? Let's see you do that. I'll read it again. Numbers 31, verses 17 and 18. Go write those. Go type those out for me. Type that in the chat for me, and then tell me that the God creature is not disgusting. Let me pin that because the chat's going so fast I can hardly fucking see it anyway. Why do atheists hate God they don't believe in? We don't, actually. We just hate the actions of the followers who oppress people and hurt people. But I've explained it to you this so many times, you just can't hear it. You can't hear the words. Richard, I was just curious if you're going to type that in there for me, the verse. Did you type that in there for me, the verse? Just checking, just looking to see if I missed anything. Good morning, Don Wagner. Boss Titties, James, good morning. No matter what side you're on, guys, everybody, good morning. God is just, says Fisher of Men. Yeah, God is just, exactly right. That's right. God is just. The guy who drowned babies is just. The one who commanded the murder of children, he's just. That's a just God. I'm just curious. I just don't see that person putting their chat in there. They were very brave earlier with talking about how. Let me see if I can find it. Nope. Damn, my chat's messed up. How brutal was he while preaching not to harm the least of these? Okay, there we go. How brutal was he? Okay, gotcha. How brutal was he? All right, so let me pin that. Oh, it's gone. Damn it. All right, well, we know what you're talking about. How brutal was he? How brutal was Jesus whenever he told the people that they're not his family? If they're not in my cult, you're not my family. When his mother and brother came to get him in Mark chapter 1, I think it's chapter 1. He came chapter 1 or chapter 3. He told them, you're not my family. These people are my family. And then I'm reading to you right here these very scriptures just a minute ago where in Luke, he's telling these people, I have come to bring fire on the earth. How I wish it were already kindled. You know what the fire is like. You know what Revelation is, right? You've heard of Revelation. That's what you guys kind of believe. This is all leading to Revelation where he is the Lamb who's going to return and do what? bring fire upon the earth. So, this is him telling you he has come to bring destruction. It's peace, love, mercy. But then, all right, so the scripture that the person didn't want to type into the chat, or I never saw it get typed into the chat. Sorry, my chat needs to be bigger. I'm just old. The scripture that the individual who said God, that thing, the scripture was, I'll read it to you, my friends. Now kill all the boys, the little ones among the males, and kill every woman who has slept with a man. But save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man. All of those among the little ones is how it says originally. Now, I want to mention, do you know what they did this? Why they did this to the Midianites? Do you know why they pretty much committed genocide? Why Moses murdered all of the people of the Midianites? Was it because the Midianites had harmed them in some horrific fashion? No. Some of the Midianite women had lured some of the Israelite men away from their tribe. That was it. Now, because of that, God put a plague on his own people and killed 20,000 people, and then told Moses to go to war and murder all of the Midianites. A holy war over nothing. Over nothing. The whole dashing of the babies, happy shall he be who dashes the little ones on the stones. Well, that's talking about retribution for somebody who had done that to you. Fair enough, in a way. It's still sick that the God creature would let that happen to his people and then let them write songs about doing it to other people. But no. Your God creature is not disgusting at all. Interesting. You remember that cute little time where Moses was leaving from Egypt and he's going somewhere. I don't remember where he's going. Wacky Moses, what he does, And then God pops out of nowhere and goes, Moses, your son is not circumcised. I'm going to kill you now. And Moses, his wife, goes, wait. And she goes and grabs a couple of rocks and circumcises her son right there on the side of the road, cuts off the end of his dick flesh and takes it and taps it, the bloody pieces on Moses' feet. No, Moses' feet. And God is like, all right, well, since you did that, I'm going to go on. Isn't that weird? That's not weird to you at all. God creature commands, he's going to kill Moses. Moses' wife circumcises with stones her son on the side of the road, and then takes the foreskin, the bloody foreskin, and taps it on Moses' feet. And God creature all of a sudden is satiated and doesn't kill Moses. Isn't that weird? That's not weird to you? A lot of these stories you guys haven't heard, or just haven't heard correctly. Let's see, it looks like you're against God and trying to teach people to be. Do you have a demon? I do have a demon. Yeah, it's coming out of my body. What the fuck are you, idiot? Of course I don't have a demon. There are no demons. There are no demons. There are no fucking demons. There are no ghosts. I'll tell you what, let me tell you something about ghosts, right? You guys think there's ghosts? I'm going to tell you something, and I'd like you to think about it. Just think about it for yourself. Use your reason, Leonidas. Just think about this. I'm going to say it, and I want you to think about it. There's all these claims about ghosts being able to say things and do things and move things, and people see them all the time, right? Ghosts are freaking everywhere, according to you people. Well, if they are, if it's this ghost thing, how come we don't see it happening all the time, literally everywhere? On every newscast, some newscaster sitting there, and his great grandma who's dead is trying to straighten his tie because he didn't do it right. His mom is there, his dead mother's over kind of moving his hair. Why doesn't it happen literally all the time? You would think there have been 107, 110 billion people on this planet. Why aren't there fucking ghosts everywhere? It's just crazy stuff. I just kind of went off on a thing. Demons. If you remind me when I get back, I'll tell you about how the serpent was the one who telling the truth. I don't want to talk about that. I talk about that all the time. You guys, I tell it, show it. You don't believe it, I move on. Let's talk about something new. What do we want to talk about? You want to talk about Jesus again some more? We still got this. There's more things in this this verse of Luke, this chapter of Luke that I find quite interesting, where he's telling harmful things, But, people don't like that. I have come to bring fire. And one of the things that I heard from Saw in apologetics was that whenever he's saying, I have come to bring fire on the earth and how I wish it were all killed, but blah, 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 he's got to go through, do you have it? And they were essentially saying, well, it's his actions of goodliness in teaching the word of the Lord that's going to cause these things, not that he's bringing them intentionally. But then they just ignored all of the words that he just said where I came to do this, It's sort of like where he tells to... in the story of Job, where he takes credit for murdering Job's family. Did you know that, Christians? Satan didn't murder Job's family. God did. God set Satan to go after his family. But essentially what happened was Satan went, all right, that one and that one and that one. And God went crunch, crunch, crunch. Who did the killing? Who killed them? Let us see. I guess it's just Job, isn't it? Job 1. Let's go Job 1. I think it's Job 2. Isn't it Job 2? Yeah, here it is. Lord, I'm sorry. Job 2, verse 3. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you not considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright. A man who fears God and shuns evil, and he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him. You incited me. God creature admitting that the devil pretty much incited him, provoked him against Job. Wasn't that fun? That was fun. I do theater. Not well. Not well, but I do theater. Good morning, Kelly. How are you doing? I hope everything's going great. Great. I'm trying to hear my shows. That's why I got the ears on. It's sweaty, though. It's hot and sweaty. Blasphemy a little more, you P-O-S. Okay. I got all day. I can blaspheme. The fact that they came up with a word that describes how our words can hurt your God's paper-like feelings. Where's Ollie? Well, come here. Come here. Come here. He's over laying down. It's hot. We're hot. Hold on a second. I'll get the Ollie. Well, come here. I know. The fans have requested some OD. Some Ollie dog. Ollie needs to go off and get a haircut. Oh, my goodness. Look at him. Animal. Each animal. Good morning, buddy. He's my good dog. We get up like 1 o'clock in the morning because of this little bastard right here. This little bastard. It was because of him. We got him, and ever since then, we've been getting up early in the morning because apparently the people he lived with before, they like to get up really early. So now he likes to get up at like 2 in the morning. So now I get up at like 1 or 2 in the morning. It just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. He's cute. He's like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, dog. For those of you who don't know, I actually have 5 dogs. Not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but 5 dogs. Listen, friends, if you have dogs, you cannot let these fellows just lay around. They will. They will all day long. You got to put them to work. Ollie is the computer engineer. Jack runs the lights. Sadie is our camera operator. Bailey writes our scripts, and Daisy is the sound operator. Daisy is the one. She's the little black dog. She'll come in here. If you hear me getting all too loud and yelling and screaming, because I do get excitable from time to time, she'll be like, Papa, man, those microphones are really expensive. You got to stop and don't be spitting on my microphone cover. And she'll tell me to leave the equipment, not to hurt the equipment while I'm going on about myself. So, Bart Derriman. Well, good morning, Bart Derriman. I don't know if you're really Bart Derriman. I think it would be really cool to talk to the Bart Derriman, though. That would be cool. Yeah. I've been watching some of his stuff, and I really appreciate it. I didn't actually for a while back. And I didn't used to. It was all Chris Hitchens and that sort of thing, and then started watching some Bart Derriman. If God destroyed my family, I definitely would worship him, says Randy G. Yes. Yes, you would. Obviously. Of course you would. Let's see here. Zealness, you will stand before God after you die in the judgment. Heaven or hell, be ready. That's interesting, Zach. Or Zell, that's cool. Really. But you're just kind of missing the whole point, aren't you? About how hideous your God creature is and how disgusting it is. There's 2 factors to your religion that keep people in it. I'm sure there's probably others, but 2 main ones. And one is faith. People are willing to believe things that they are told by other people, lies that they want to believe. And so they have faith, and they're willing to believe shit that they would just never believe before. It's called religious faith, in fact. They're willing to have faith. They have faith and they believe that ridiculous stuff. But if they're too intelligent and they see through that ridiculous stuff, and their faith isn't strong enough to get them through that ridiculous stuff, well, then you've got the fear. Then you go threatening people with hell and damnation. Oh, free will, but we're going to threaten you with hell and damnation. Isn't that weird? These things are killing my ears. I had a double whammy going on so I could hear my phone and not my phone, but the computer and the thing, because this is coming off of the mic, but oh well. This guy's also serving another god. Man, you just make that shit up as you go along, don't you? Chance says, coward, I call you out. Go spirit hunting or ghost hunting, then explain what happened. Your research is shallow. No, I think if there were scientific evidence to back it up, it would be proven. Well documented in science. It would be there, but it's not. It's not. It's still a pseudoscience at best. At best, for a reason. But you believe whatever you want to. I mean, you do you, boo. You're the one that believes in all these imaginary creatures. Yeah, I'm the one that's afraid. Yeah, no, I'm not a coward. So you're literally preaching what you believe to be the truth. You're literally preaching your own religion. You're no better than any Christian that you're calling bad. No, that's not true. You can think that if you want to. I may be preaching, but what I'm doing is I'm showing them the horrific nature of their Bible, the horrific nature of their religion, and the horrific nature of the people who practice it. You can't see that? What did I say about the Bible that was wrong? Was I wrong when I pointed out that God commanded Moses to murder children? You guys get mad at me when I point that shit out. One of your guys comes in here and says, Jesus said, love everybody. Oh, so this God creature's evil. Well, yeah, look at everything else. There are just a couple of lines in the Bible where they soften a few things, but most of it's horrific shit. Horrific shit. And you just can't see it. It's like a diamond, okay? I give you a diamond, and the diamond is perfect, it's flawless, and it's wonderful, and everybody loves the diamond. But if you take even one side of that diamond, you scratch the shit out of it, and you mess it all up and all that, and it's really bad and really... Well, the rest of the diamond's pretty much worthless, isn't it? Doesn't matter how shiny the rest of the facets are, if that one or even two is fucked up. When you've got a God creature that murders its own people, sells them into slavery over and over and over again, teaches them how to keep slaves, murders them again and again and again and again, like the time, the Moses thing where the group of I can't even remember their name. They complained because they were lost in the desert and Moses wasn't leading them correctly. So God said, get them all together, and they got them all together, and they drowned. Was that love? Was that mercy? Was that kindness? No, you don't find any of that from the God monster. You will see that God creature does almost nothing with wisdom and love and patience. The Adam and Eve story, he lies to Adam and Eve. The serpent was the one telling the truth. And then when Eve, who couldn't defend herself against somebody, a heavenly person, somebody from the heavenly host, when she couldn't defend herself from that because she didn't know right from wrong, then she's punished. Cain murders his brother. The first man to murder another man in the Bible is brother killing brother in the name of God, for the love of God. And then God punishes Cain, of course, sure does, by marking him for life so no one will harm him. And then Cain goes on to have a wife and children and a long life and family, who goes on to have children, who go on to found a city. I mean, he gets all the rewards that you get in the Old Testament. Cain does. All of them. He doesn't get punished for murdering his brother. He gets rewarded. Go read it. Go read it yourself. Go find out what is a reward in the Old Testament. A long life, many children, boy children that found cities, who go on to found nations. Those are the rewards in life from God in the Old Testament. So, yeah. So basically my point is I'm using the Bible to show how disgusting and horrific it is. There's just the heroes I can name off the top of my head are all horrific. Your religion, the Abrahamic religions, are founded off a man who murdered people, who raped his wife's slave, who tossed her and his own son out into the desert once he had a good and proper son, who also gave his sister wife, yes, I said sister wife, to the Pharaoh, who gave them a disease Then he did it again in Genesis chapter 20. This is Abraham, the father of the Abrahamic religion. You didn't know that, did you? That he was a piece of shit. He was an absolute horrific piece of shit. You didn't know that. Wow, fascinating. The story of Lot. Everybody knows about the story of Lot. There's two angels with the power of God right there in his house. What's the first thing he does? Does it say he does anything else? No, first thing he does is toss out his two virgin daughters. Ouch. Moral man. You know why God went to save him, right? Because he and Abraham were the favored of God. They were the favored. They were upright and worthy. That's what they were. And he's going to pitch his daughters out. Really? Okay. So then, I don't know if you know this about the story, but him and his daughters and the wife, of course, you know the story about the wife. She looks back. They go, and the angels tell him, hey, man, you need to go to that town over there. But Lot knows better. He really knows better. So he said, I can't make it to that town over there. I ain't going to make it. So I'm going to go up here in the mountains. And then he talks these angels into him going up to the mountains because he's smarter than these angels are, apparently. He outwits them or whatever. So he goes to these cave with his daughters. Man goes to cave with daughters alone. Man comes away from cave with daughters who are both pregnant. Man blames daughters for getting him drunk. Really? So either this is incest by Lot raping his daughters openly. We just know he did it because who told the story? Who wrote that shit down? Was it the girls who probably didn't know how to write? And no, if anybody, it was the man telling the story, right? All right, so yeah, and then what happened? What were the results? Can anybody tell me what the results of this drunken incestuous relationship were with these heroes of the Bible? Both girls got pregnant. That's a reward from God. You can actually learn that in a few chapters before. Whenever Abram and Sarai are trying to get pregnant, God tells you don't get pregnant without His wonder. A boy, a man child, a penis apparently, is of utmost value. That's most important. A man child who goes on to, like I said, found cities and nations. Those are rewards all from God. All of those went to the daughters of Lot. Each one of them had a child. A boy child who went on to found a city, who went on to found a nation. Bad guys in the Bible, probably. Mustache twisters. Of course, we know all about God killing his own children in the flood. There's all about that. But you go read about Noah. Sure, I mean, at the beginning, Noah's like, there was only one guy who was upright and upstanding. Only one. Loyal and whatnot. And then you read about the guy, and he's a piece of shit. He gets all the people to the thing at the place with the stuff and finally gets off the boat. And what's the first thing they do when they get off the boat? He makes a winery and gets drunk. Wouldn't you? And then his son sees him naked and he curses his grandson, not his son, his grandson, to be a slave, and all of his grandson's children, descendants, to be slaves because of his son's actions. Now, of course, Moses did this with Moses' own holy ritual of power, his own well of no, that's not right, is it? That's not right at all, is it? Moses doesn't have any power. No, I'm sorry, Noah. Damn it. Noah doesn't have any power, does he? Any power that comes through Noah is God's power. God wills it or it doesn't happen. So when Noah cursed Canaan because of the actions of Ham, it was God's power that was cursing a grandchild, an innocent grandchild who did nothing. Now, there's also people who say, when they say that's why I did this, saw him naked. There are those who believe that reference meant he actually had sex with Noah's wife. Therefore, Ham would probably be his grandson or his son with Noah's wife. That I could see that. But really, they weren't all that much about incest. I mean, it was kind of a thing for them. They bragged about it. They wrote it down in their holy books. The story where Abram, I didn't make that shit up. Abram tells us in Genesis chapter 20 that they are brother and sister. In Genesis chapter 12, we learn that Abram's uncle, Nahor, I think it is, or maybe that's her name. Abram's uncle marries his own dead brother's niece. They're kind of into that thing. How do you know the devil speak? Man, you guys are really crashing out in my chat, aren't you? There is no greater sin against humanity and divinity than monotheist to be a monotheist. Sorry, my chat moved up. I gotta get my chat face goes. 1,000 apologies. Let's see. BC Stargazer. Okay. Odd that no other civilization or culture has noticed that global flood even before we get technical about the volume of water needed or the freshwater species surviving, etc. No doubt. God did it, you know. I mean, one of the things that kills me, though, BC Stargazer, is that they will not. There's so many pieces of evidence for evolution. Evolution is a scientific theory, which is something that's been proven over and over and over again. It's proven. It's proven. It's a theory, scientific theory, and yet they ignore it all. We have fossil evidence. We have living evidence. We have all kinds of. They have zero evidence. Zero. None. They have no evidence to prove their dirt man and rib woman story, and yet they call us liars and say we're the idiots. Isn't that weird? Huh. Let's see here. What we are in Jesus' sandals right now. And the reason you put it down because you're into the incest so much. You guys are creative this morning. You people know nothing. You know, I don't. You guys are probably talking to each other. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm just seeing if I can catch up with something. So you don't send your kids to public school. I did. Economic, whatever. Good morning. Is that all you got, though? I mean, is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do? Oh, no, apparently you can do a lot. You talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Wow, 9 days ago. Let's see. Guillotine, take down Descartes. You say all kinds of ignorant shit, don't you? Pray to your pond scum daddy. You have to be extremely low IQ to think we came from pond scum. Really, you have to be really low IQ to think that we came from pond scum. We don't think that. Drifting souls, so don't send your kids to public school. Yeah, you know, I mean, if you got enough money, just send them to a private school. Or what you can do is teach them from home, right? I've seen them do that. Yeah, homeschooled kids, 15, 16, 17 years old, still right like this. Don't know shit. Absolutely horrific. Can't get by in the world at all. Barely work at fucking Wendy's. Oh, wait, let me show you how math works, son, young child. I mean, let's see here. Jesus is the best. Man, you guys got a lot of shit going on in the chat. Hold on a second. Let's see what's going on. Jesus was not Greek. Says, yeah, it's true. Jesus was not Greek. Then you ask yourself, why was the New Testament written mostly in Greek? Just say pop. If you love your enemies so much, why don't you move to Moscow? Kids at public schools are criminals at this point. You know, public schools are criminals at this point. It used to not be that way so much, but they've kind of intentionally gone off after the intellects, haven't they? Let's see here. Oh, I want to do something for a quick. Look how easy to manipulate these people. Fun. Let's go over here. I still got that Luke chapter 12 up, though, if you want to reference that later. That's going to be one of my faves for a long time because that one just keeps giving. If I just stop long, I should really stop and read it because it was this morning before the show. I didn't kind of get the chance. But, and then there's that one, you were talking about the children earlier. Don't hurt the least of these children. That was kind of a trap. Yeah, but I forgot. I got carried away with other stuff, and I forgot about it. I'll get you next time. Boom, 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 boom. By that token, let me just go ahead and mention I have a newsletter. Another one coming out soon. Currently, we have a newsletter that drops every week. It's called The Millstone. Christians, is that a familiar term with you? The Millstone? No? Just curious. Yes, Jinxie, yes. Yes. Criminals are defunding public schools. Absolutely. They don't want intelligent people. They don't. And you know what pisses me off is the ones that want to teach non-true things in schools. So there's that. Also pisses me off. Right here. Got this up over here. How do I become the top atheist? Hey, Sebastian, I don't know. I'm not very good at that part of it, man. I got to be honest. For a couple of reasons. One is that I think this is just me. I don't know that I don't know. I don't fit in usually with the others, but I'm a little more aggressive than many of the others. So that may be why some of them are like, dude, talks too much. Like yesterday's show was titled like secular humanists, atheists are more moral than Christians. We are more moral. And by making that claim, other atheists will go, man, we shouldn't make that kind of claim because blah, 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 right? And so, I mean, it's just, atheist community is kind of a weird community. So far, I haven't really gotten in, the crosshairs of any of that business myself, but I do tend to get more aggressive. My purpose is different than theirs is. Theirs is about arguing with you. I guess not all of them. Sure, I should let them speak for themselves, but the call-in shows about you calling in and they'll defend atheism or secular humanism or evolution or abiogenesis or the Big Bang. They kind of try to explain all these things to you and blah, blah, blah. I don't really do that. I mean, I kind of will because I dig it too. I pick it up what they're putting down. But I'm more about showing you that the religion you worship is ridiculous and harmful. It's based on text that is just absolutely horrific. Most of you don't even know because you were told these things by pastors and they softened over it. But it's horrific. You just don't know. And that's kind of what I'm here for. Now, why would I do that? Well, because Christianity is harmful. It harms people. There are people out there right now who are being oppressed by Christians. Oh no, there ain't. Yeah, there are. I could go through the whole list of book bans and 10 Commandments in schools and kicking all the trans people out of the military and all of the rest of it. But I don't really want to keep doing that all the time. It's kind of old. You'll just have to trust me that your religion is oppressive. And my goal is to show as many of you good people, intelligent people as I can what is behind there. So what I'll often do is I'll base almost everything out of the Bible, and we'll go through it. I'll say something, and then I'll go, oh, let's go look up. You don't believe me? Let's go. And I'll do that. So, and then I also pretty much have this kind of point of telling Christians that, you know what? You should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. You should have been ashamed a long time ago. Somebody said that shit is ridiculous. Why do you believe that? You should be ashamed. And you should, if you're a Christian. You're this old and you believe in Super Santa Claus? Still. And have you ever wondered, between me, you, atheists, Christians, atheists, Muslims, all you guys out there, have you ever wondered something? Just something that's kind of, there are a lot of notions of giving and helping and doing because there's a reward in heaven. The more you do, the more you get. Isn't that, I know it sounds in a way like cool, but when you stop and think about it, the nakedness of the greed that is there. It's like you sacrifice this little bit here and you're going to get golden thrones in the future. Most of us don't believe that stuff. It's kind of hard not to, but if you really believe you're going to be rewarded with all those things, are you really being a good person because of that reward? Or are you a good person? Are you giving to people because you're giving to people because you're cool? Or are you giving to people because you think there's a God creature looking over your shoulder watching you to see if you're good or not? And how good you are and when you do good. Does that make you good? Or are you not good? Please use your Star Trek backdrop so we can teleport Christians to the rapture. If only, my friend, if only that way. Oh, my goodness. I dig it, though. I'm picking up what you're putting down. One of the things I do, and I really have, to a degree, thought about, I don't want to say it out loud, thought about taking calls again, because I do realize it is a vacuum. I mean, you do respond to me sometimes, some of you who I talk to, and it goes by so fast. Even when before my chat got all stupid small, when I rebuilt my computer, I built a new computer and all that shit. But even before that, it was just hard for me to keep up. So it probably would make more sense to have, be able to have someone call in maybe on Discord again like we did. But I explained that just kind of ends up being a runaround of the same thing. Like we were talking earlier, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about this right here where Jesus says he's going to come back and murder everybody? Where he says that he and his angels are going to come back and kill everyone who's not righteous, all the wicked. That means men, women, children, babies, Muslims, Indians, atheists. It doesn't matter. Everybody but the right kind of Christian is going to be thrown into a furnace with the gnashing of teeth by Jesus and his angels. He says so in Matthew. So you're going to tell me that's a metaphor? He didn't really mean that? You're going to tell me he's not really going to hurt the children, despite the fact that we've got the entire Old Testament that tells us the God creature loves killing children. And in fact, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, therefore Jesus is a child sacrifice. He's an adult, I get that, but relationship matters. Jesus is God's Son, and therefore Jesus is himself a child sacrifice. And we're gonna argue against that somehow? I just don't. I mean, okay, Jesus is 33 years old. Then you're gonna say Jesus is God. Okay, great. Oh, that's wonderful. So what does it mean? Because you guys go around going, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. That's child sacrifice right there. Literally, you describe it like a good thing. You separate from that when I point out that it's child sacrifice. Oh no, he's God. This is God and that's God and they're both God. But no, it's a child fucking sacrifice. Just like you talk about how the Canaanites, the reason why they killed all the Canaanites, he wanted a child sacrifice. That was evil. So Jesus is literally a child sacrifice. Just like the Egyptian children who were killed by God creature, Jesus was the first to breach the womb of Mary. That's the description used to describe those whom he killed in Egypt when he did the 10 plagues. The first to breach the womb, that would be Jesus. Now, if it was just like somebody else, if it were Lot, it wouldn't be a child sacrifice. Lot's not God's son in that fashion. Mark chapter 1. God says to Jesus, for opening words, Jesus, you are my son. Jesus goes throughout the Old Testament, or throughout the New Testament, saying, my Father, I'm going to go to prepare a room in my Father's house for you, right? Father-son relationship. And you want to suddenly not acknowledge that when I point out that it was his child that he sacrificed. You're down for child sacrifice now all of a sudden. That's cool? It's cool with you? That's not disgusting. See, that's my job, is to show you that it really is disgusting. It's disgusting that someone would do that. That the God creature would even ask for it is disgusting. And that's kind of the whole point, that you don't really realize, why did it have to happen? Because God creature demanded it to happen. I mean, you worship a monster, a demon from the pits of hell, that could be best described. I'm just saying. Loves the smell of burning flesh, doesn't it? And then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is the biggest sycophant suck up in the entire world. No matter what I do to this motherfucker, he is going to just lick my feet. Good Job. Nice Job. The fact that the God creature would do that to Job. Sorry, I just happened to have that up. The word of God. Good morning to Tapao Roberts. Did I say that right? Close to right? Good morning. Richard Dawkins.official. Well, it says official. Therefore, it must be official. Very good. Now, a harder question. How many cross-references from New to Old Testament are there? You know, that's the whole thing. Like, if you're going from... there are probably a lot of cross-references. Can I get something for you? Would you hold on just a second? Bear with me. En moment, s'il vous plaît. I have something for you. J'ai quelque chose, right? Pour vous, mon ami. You got all smart and forgot what you were doing. You deserve it. Here we are. Check this out. Peep this, my homies. And a 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready now. Go, but don't you? All right, so check this out. Peep this, my homies. All right, so here you've got this website called BibleContradictions.org. Now, so if you want to look at some links, this is a very good, sorry, I'm all big-headed. This is a very good, I'll post a link over here for you guys because I'm awesome like that. This is a very good resource where you can go and look at all these contradictions that are in the Bible, this holy text that's the immutable word of God. Well, it looks very mutable to me. This is the Old Testament over here. This is the New Testament. Now, as you can see, you're like, oh, there's so many connections. They raised the baby up and they said, here's Emmanuel. And on Tuesday, when the rain is going outside and you hold your hand up like this, that means Jesus somehow, right? Anyway, they say Emmanuel, so they try to jam that shit in there. Though you'll know him by his stripes. Wait a second. What does it actually say in the Old Testament about his stripes? Have you looked? Oh, that's right. There was a thief who was getting whipped. Has nothing to do with Jesus. Thief had stripes because he got whipped for being a thief. Has nothing to do with Jesus. Nothing to do with Jesus. And that Jesus also got whipped? Coincidence. Nothing to do. They're not related. But trying to claim that's a prophecy fulfilled. Do you see the dishonesty in that? Can you see the dishonesty in that? So here you go. You've got a couple of those, claim those. Well, look at all of these contradictions. lyingforjesus.org/Bible-contradictions/ Go there, do that voodoo. These down here, and this will tell you the books and stuff. If you let me move it over here, if you can see it, move forward, move this way. This is New Testament. You can see where this is the New Testament right here. I got all that stuff right, and then it'll actually link back to all the Old Testament where there are contradictions. All these are contradictory lines, and you can go read them. Each one, if you click on one, it'll bring up a thing, and it'll tell you which one is what, goes to what. My big old head's in the way, right? So you can go do that. Go check that out for yourself. Peep that, my homies. Okay. I mean, as far as the Holy Word. Here it is, right here, dissected before you. We've got scientific absurdities and historical inaccuracies. Oh, look at all that. Sure, they did know a guy named Herod back then because they lived back then. So it does make sense that in the Bible, they would mention a guy named Herod. Makes sense. But there's a lot of inaccuracies, aren't there? So, a lot. And then there's, of course, the cruelty and violence. Oh, no. There's some over there, Christians. This is a wonderful resource you should not go to. I'm going to post it in the thing there real quick for you, though. Copy, my wonderful friends. Oh, I got a super chat. Binary Ghost. Let me post that for you. Binary Ghost says, there's this idea in Christianity that I find poisonous. Everything good as a result of your work is to the credit of God. I know. Everything bad is a result of your free will. You weren't going as told. You weren't doing as told. Yeah. Everything is bad as your fault. You weren't doing as told. Absolutely. Well, you give the credit to Jesus. They tell you that, don't they? Give all the glory to Jesus. Give the glory to... Why? Why, Jesus? Why, Jesus, get the glory? Do I not have any self-confidence? Am I not a person who needs glory myself, to believe in myself, to have confidence? Am I not? Do I not need it? And is Jesus so pathetic and so paper thin emotionally that he needs to be told all the time that he's good? Jesus, you're good. Can you imagine if that were a real person? And you were always telling them, oh, you're so, and they demanded that you always told them, you're so worthy and so wonderful and so honored. I love you so much. We worship. Can you imagine? Thank you for the super chat, the $10 super chat, Binary Ghost. I very much appreciate you. I appreciate all the support, you guys. You're fantastic. I think I may have missed a super chat earlier. Did I? Oh, hey, it was you. You're a repeat offender. Oh yeah. For $5, you said, you ever notice how a lot of the times there needs to be a physical intermediary for miracles and wrath? Needed a flood, couldn't just poof people away. That's one of the things. When you poof people away, there's no fear, right? Remember earlier I mentioned fear. There's faith for the gullible. They want you to have faith. The more faith you have, the more bullshit you will believe. Religious faith is not the same as normal faith in other things. Don't even act like it is. The more faith you have, the more bullshit you believe. If you don't fall for the bullshit, then there's the whole hell thing, the whole drowning thing, the whole eternal punishment, the whole gnashing of teeth. There's the threat, the fear. Christianity is a religion built on fear. Oh, free will. I got free will, but you're going to burn me if I use that free will for eternity. I mean, I'm only going to live to be like 50 or 60 or 70 years old, but you're going to burn me for an eternity. That's justice. That's just. That's honest. When you could just poof me away. You could just mercifully blink me out of existence. Guys, I've talked about how horrific this God monster is. Well, think about this. When God freed the people from Egypt and told them to go to the Holy Land, essentially, it was go through here and you have to kill all these people. And then when you get there, kill everybody who's there. Okay, remember, Jesus, love, mercy, peace. This God creature has the power to harden people's hearts, surely should have the power to soften people's hearts. Why didn't he go, all right, Moses, you are going to go from here to the promised land where the Canaanites now live. The Canaanites will thusly move from where you are or where you're going to be. They will be happy. Everyone you meet between here and there will greet you with love, and you will greet them with love, and they will help you on your way. Why couldn't he do that? Why couldn't he do that instead of murder, death, kill, murder every man, woman, and child, and kill all their... I mean, why? It's an evil God monster. That's why. Read what it tells them to do. All right, so do you know why they're in the desert? Christians, do you know why they're in the desert? Why they're stuck in the desert? Because as soon as he got them out of Egypt, despite showing them his power and wonder, they still worship the old gods. They still worship the gods of their parents, the Egyptian gods, because they were stuck in Egypt for a long time. So he got pissed off at them. Just for that alone, everybody who left Egypt, all of the people who left Egypt died in the desert. That's why they wandered for 40 years until they all died off, save 2. God killed them all over time in the desert, feeding them manna from heaven. But manna from heaven wasn't delicious. It wasn't good. They complained about it. He wasn't rewarding these people. He was punishing them. He brags about this in Ezekiel. In Ezekiel, he talks about giving them laws they can't follow, statutes they can't follow, and telling them to kill their firstborn children, which he does in this book. So, that's your God creature. Love, he could have done that. Love, he could have done that with peace. He could have done it with mercy. He could have softened their hearts. Go read again, my friend. If you're new to this channel, go read. You will learn things. Go read. Pharaoh told Abraham, Moses, he told Moses, you and your brother go and make the Pharaoh release my people, but I will harden his heart so I can show my signs and wonders and that they will know that I am in the Lord. What are his signs and wonders? Go read what the 10 plagues of Egypt were. The final plague being the murder of the firstborn of all of the children of all of Egypt. That's your God creature telling you. So whenever you're like, oh, it was the Pharaoh's fault. No, God says he's going to harden his heart ahead of time. He admits it ahead of time. God hardens his heart, then murders all the firstborn children of Egypt as an example. Go read it for yourself. Go read it. I encourage you to do so. Friends,
Do you have a loved one who's on their deathbed, but they've yet to give themselves up to the Lord?
Are you sure you don't want to come to Jesus?
no,
This is your final chance.
no.
Worried they're headed to the fiery pits of hell.
Your very last chance.
No, I've been wicked and sinful. I deserve to burn in the hot place.
As you wish. Farewell, my heathen husband.
Farewell, my...
Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of post-mortem baptismal kits. No more worries about being miserable alone forever. Be a good Christian and share that eternal pain and suffering with the ones you love. I'm in hell. Not as hot as I thought it'd be. Kind of feels like Houston, minus the humidity. Hello. My favorite drink crafted to perfection. Ooh, and some dank ass weed.
I can't bear to be down on my face chanting, holy, holy, holy is the Lord, every day, all day, for all eternity, by myself.
Wow, is that George Carlin? And Alan Turing, look at that. Carl say, oh, I am so honored. You've been my hero since I was a kid. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what are you doing here? Oh, I get it. I get it. Schrodinger's heathen. Very cute, you. Very cute. That's fantastic. Oh, what is that? What is? It's holy water. Oh, it burns. No, this isn't where I want to be. Pabst Blue Ribbon and a Marlboro? No! Father Flanagan's post-mortem baptismal kit. Dead kid tested, Mother Teresa approved. Is that the Pope and John Paul? Jim Jones and Jimmy Swaggart, huh? I could see that coming. Neil deGrasse, what are you doing? Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
Thanks, Father Flanagan.
Damn them to an eternity in heaven for only $59.99. They wouldn't appreciate it, but you'll feel better. And that's the point, isn't it? Get yours now. Your heathen loved one's time is running out.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. This is some bullshit. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. All right. Thank you, Ivy Ann, for the 10-pound super chat. She says, also, Ezekiel 4:12, God tells them to cook their food on human poop. Yeah, use human poop as fire for your food. His ways are higher than ours. I think if I remember right, was it Ezekiel who begged or somebody pleaded, and eventually they said they didn't have to do it on human poop; they could do it on animal poop instead. That makes more sense. Let me get this here out of my way. Put this down here. I got some people in the chat. Thank you for the support. I very much appreciate you. Here's this thing: God logic. You had me until you said we also scientifically prove the existence of heaven. That's fucking ridiculous. Now you're either not serious or you're an idiot. I don't know which yet, but I suspect both probably, based on what else I've seen. Let's see. CHR says it's nothing extraordinary to claim that Christianity is okay. Some atheists also think so. Some atheists do, right? I mean, some atheists do. Dawkins calls himself a cultural Christian, but he's not a Christian. He doesn't believe in God and all that. But he was raised in that fashion. And, those of you who believe somehow this kind, loving, peaceful version of Christianity, that's kind of what I think he's talking about. But go ask him, because it can't be this oppressive, hateful, ugly Christianity that we're exposed to most of the time. Binary Ghost says, hey, Moses, I just straight up don't like Egyptians. This line was edited out. No shit. Kill them all, let God sort them out. Well, if you're into the story, for those purposes, not only did he harden Pharaoh's heart, so Pharaoh was going to let him go, but God hardened his heart. And then, as they were leaving, Pharaoh was going to let them go. But God came and again hardened his heart and made him send his army after him. And when he did, the army, what happened to the army? All those men and women and people got killed. Husbands, wives, fathers, all those lost, drowned, to prove a point for God creature, that he was powerful. Because it wasn't the Pharaoh's fault. Matter of fact, if you go read it, they're actually he's going through the 10 plagues, and the Pharaoh's like, I ain't giving in. And then finally he's like, oh shit, the boils and shit was enough for me. I give in. And God's like, we're going all the way to the end, this motherfucker. All 10 of them plagues. Yeah, he did. Go check it out. Go read it for yourself. It's fun for the kids. Let's see. Roscoe of the Rose says, I wonder if these commercials are for cigarette breaks. I don't smoke. I did for 20 years. I'll probably die of lung cancer. I haven't smoked in 20 years. Wow. He always says getting coffee or something, but I'm something of a smoker myself. No, coffee's in there. I mean, it's just far away, and I drink a lot of coffee. That kind of explains I get pretty wired up. It's fun. Hippie speedball, cannabis and caffeine. So I talk a lot, but I can't remember what the fuck I'm talking about. For those of you who were here the other day and hadn't heard, but haven't heard the results, I had auditioned for a role in the play, Arsenic and Old Lace, being put on at the Albuquerque Little Theater, the largest theater here in Albuquerque. It's not the Pope Joy. And I couldn't tell you at the time what role I got. It was a small role, but it's a foot into the door of a new theater. And it is the role of Mr. Witherspoon. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. It's going to be so now I can finally say what the role is. Oh yeah, so more of these things here. Let's see. Soy says, let me ask this, does a house build itself? What about a car? Humans are 100 times more complex and we just evolved, right? Think about that. Yeah, we did. We're a lot more complex and we did evolve, but it took 4 fucking billion years. 4 billion. I don't think you understand how long that is. If we're talking about from the beginning to here, from abiogenesis to this point, that's crazy time. And when you go learn, that the first 3 of those, 3 and like a 250 million of those years, we were just like single-celled organisms, very little more than that, just putty all over the planet. And then we started getting spines. And once we started getting like bones and spines, shit just went crazy everywhere. So this whole, let me ask you this, does a house build itself? So your God creature, what created your God creature? So a house and humans, you can't believe we came into existence despite billions of years of proven evolution. But somehow you believe the God creature just popped into existence, fully formed, knowing everything, knowing all. Well, really? Really? God creature, fully knowing everything, popped into existence. You can't believe an iPhone did. I don't think an iPhone's nearly as complicated as a God creature, do you? Really? You're more complicated than a God creature. No, God creature's always been here. No, it doesn't work like that. No, because your God creature has to live in a time of its own, as mentioned by my friends here in the chat. It has to have a time, my friend, where it goes before. It's like, you know what? Was it Tuesday? I think on Thursday, I'm going to create a universe. And then Wednesday comes and he does just like jacks off or whatever he does. And then Thursday, he creates the universe. He has to have a time frame of his own, its own. So what created God creature? Who's its daddy? Is God creature's father God, the God of that creature? Is that the one that demands that this God creature wants blood from us all the time? Is that the one that forced God to demand Jesus Christ be beaten to shit, hung on a cross, and sacrifice himself for your bloody sins? It was his dad or creator that made him do that? No, he was always here. Fascinating stuff. Did time, space exist before the Big Bang? Yeah, probably. It really almost certainly did. Yeah. Go look. I could tell you, I could try to explain it to you, but I don't have the crayons. You wouldn't believe me if I did. There's not only the notion, we've got several different real scientific hypotheses and theories going on. Well, it's quantum mechanics, quantum theories, quantum science, among other things. There's this, they just got science, smart people stuff you wouldn't get, that suggests that there indeed was something before this. Have you ever heard of the expansion and contraction theory? What do they call it? I don't remember what they call it. They have a name for it. But the universe expands and then collapses, and then expands and collapses under its own gravity over time from a single point, some sort of thing. I don't know. But a little old man full of hate, rage, and anger, sitting on a burning throne, created all this, created the universe. That's what you think. No proof, no evidence, no nothing. You don't know what happens before the Big Bang any better than the rest of us. We've kind of got science. We at least know we can science our way back to the Big Bang. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't know about it. As far as the science, you would deny. I think actually it was a Catholic person, even a Catholic scientist, look at that, who first suggested the idea of looking at the Big Bang theory. And then somebody else looked at the cosmic microwave background radiation. So we've got all this stuff that points to it, that points to the science. It shows that, yeah, it's all this. You don't believe it. You don't care. You're Dirtman and Ribwoman, right? Your proof, your book is proof? Let's see. What's too much to text? Let's see. Listen to you, Babylon. No, I know God. He told you. Okay. You're very special, aren't you? You're very special. I mean, there's a couple of things I should suggest. One is therapy. If you really, truly believe God spoke to you, I recommend either some therapy or changing your medication. Really. But even by that notion, friend, God creature spoke to you. He told you, God creature, who created all of this, all of these wonderful people, all of these people, everybody. Lets all those people get killed, ignores all those prayers, ignores all that hurt, all that anguish. He talks to you, though. You personally. You he loves. You he knows your name. I like to use the little example of, how he ignores the prayers of all those children getting raped in his church, his own fucking house, by his own priests. But he loves you, and he hears your prayers. You don't feel at all narcissistic? That don't make you feel like a piece of shit at all to think about that? That God, I'm an ass. I'm just an ass. I for Brennan. Hi, I for. Hope you're doing great. Before the Big Bang is a malformed concept. The Big Bang is the expansion of space-time, not an explosion of the universe. There you go. And since I first said it, it's true. What if there was nothing before the Big Bang? I'm curious, though. How do we define nothing? Right? Is there like this empty space in which our universe, as a bubble, sits within? That's God, I guess. It's the nothingness. I know, but that's kind of the question. Well, how do you measure nothingness, right? I mean, if you take away all the stars, but there's still atoms and parts, What if you took away the entire universe? Would you see any kind of particles? What would be outside of that? That would be fascinating. Here's a thought, my friends. This is crazy. And it's kind of a new thought, new of the science that's coming up, that we may be in a big black hole. Big by our standards, a big black hole, our own black hole. And the Big Bang was actually whenever our black hole collapsed into a singularity. That's when the Big Bang happened. So our universe could be a black hole floating within another larger, bigger universe with many other black holes. Ours have many black holes in our universe. That one could have many black holes. Very, very many. Not many as in small. Many as in a numbers. So, and you know, one of the funny things about time, if you've seen the movie Interstellar, you'll know that gravity really does a wicked thing with time. So within our black hole, we've experienced 4 or 16 billion years or 13 billion years, whatever, in the black hole. But if you were an observer outside the black hole, because of the lack of the time dilation in this other universe, if you were just some dude say, oh, hey, there's a black hole over there, it might have been just, a few hundred years, a few million years, because the time would be different. What a brain stretcher. Can we, or am I alone on this? I guess I'm alone on this. Yeah, henceforth, like he says in the beginning, was the Word. Isn't that interesting? Who said that? John said that. John said that. And the newest, the last of the 4 Gospels. John said that. Now, if you go watch Dan McClellan, you will learn that he wasn't actually talking about Jesus being God. That's not what he was talking about. Go look. Go watch Dan McClellan. He's a smart guy on this stuff. I would like to share with you something, guys, that I realized this morning as I was doing some studies for today's show. And that is that whenever you hear us talk about Jesus and how he treated the mother and the daughter who were seeking help. So how he called them dogs, right? To us, I love dogs. I got 5 of them. I like dogs. I'd rather talk to your dogs, stream to your dogs than to you, but they won't let me do that. I love dogs. But back then, a dog was a scavenger, a disgusting creature. They didn't like dogs. It was a slur. It had become a common slur that Jewish people used against Gentiles. So he'd literally used an ethnic slur on this woman, not just to calling her dog. He wasn't just calling her dog. It was essentially in their time the N-word of their day. She had gone and begged him to help her with her daughter who was suffering from demons or whatever. And he wouldn't listen to her. He just ignored her. Jesus ignores this begging, pleading woman. Why does he ignore her? Why? Is she wicked? Is she sinful? Is that what it is? She's a bad person. She's done horrible things. She's a whore of Babylon. No, because she's a Gentile. Because she's a Canaanite. He calls her a slur, a racial slur, and denies her. But first, wait a second. It actually doesn't happen in that order. The order it happens in is, first, she begs him. He ignores her and doesn't even respond to her. Then she starts pestering his disciples, so much so that they go to him and say, man, she's bugging us to death. Send her away. They don't ask him to heal her and her daughter. They say, send her away. And at that point, he says, I'm not going to heal you. To heal you would be like throwing food for the children out to the dogs. Jesus said that to her. Now, of course, he did heal her. After she did crawl upon her knees and say, yes, we are unworthy dogs. Yeah, even the dogs do get the scraps from the table of the children. Jesus. Hold on a second. Well, actually, that's the whole deal. I'm missing a step. See, what happened was she begged him. He ignored her. She pestered the disciples. They went to him. They went to him and said, hey, man, make her go away. So then he goes to her and he says about a dog. Let me find that. And then it's whenever hold on a second. You'll see what I mean. And really, I mean, let's see. Oh, he does it in 2 of them. I think Matthew is the one I'm looking for. Matthew 15 here. Let's go Matthew 15. Oh my goodness, these earphones are freaking hot. But maybe if I learned how to do what I'm supposed to do and lean over here and speak into the mic like I'm supposed to, people will be able to hear me. Okay, so let me bring this over here so I can relate it. All right, into the microphone. So, leaving that place, Jesus went to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon-possessed and suffering terribly." Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, "Send her away." You notice they don't say, "Heal her daughter." Notice they don't say that. It's so easy with a wave of his hand, but he doesn't. "Send her away, for she keeps crying out after us." He answered, "I was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel." Then she came and begged him. He had said, no, you tell her I only came for the children of Israel. And then she came and begged him. The woman came and knelt before him. "Lord, help me," she said. He replied, "It is not right, this begging woman, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is," she said. "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed at that moment. It was so easy to heal her, and yet she had to beg and plead and prostrate herself before this God creature. And he still said no. And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm a dog. I'm the dog you say I am. Yep, we're dogs, me and my daughter." Jesus loves me, this I know. Oh my God, you trust the King James Bible? Oh, goodness gracious. That explains all. Oh my. Let me ask you, I got that. Okay, yeah. Yep, you're God creature. I suppose it just has always been there. It doesn't need a creator. Okay, gotcha. Sure. You're a paid distraction. Go argue against Shimon. Sorry about the spelling. Yeah, cool. Who's Shimon? Hi, Ivy Ann. Ivy Ann says, Jessic? Yeah, he's a jackass. Sounds like you need to get a passport and travel a bit. No doubt, huh? Did I say the jackass thing out loud, or was that in my head? Crazy Fox Lover. Hello, Whistlegun. The only KGB I trust is the Skeptic's Annotated Bible. Hell yeah. So you don't believe in God, but you have a preference on his books. Well, yeah, don't you? There's more. You have to pick one, right? Well, which one would you use? I like to use the newer one because it's easier to read. It usually exposes all the horror I need it to expose. However, occasionally we do need to split a hair on that kind of thing, because like I said earlier, whenever we're talking about Jesus, talking about how much you should beat your slave, in some of these Bibles, they say servant. They don't say slave. They soften it up and they say servant. You should only beat him a little bit if he didn't know he was doing wrong. But the word was slave. It was slave. So if doulos in the Greek was slave, you should go read that. And therefore, when it serves my rhetoric and to prove my point, I will go find the different one if I need to. I never go find one that softens it, though. I never go find one. I'm like, where I never say Jesus said do this and contradict. I mean, how do I explain that? I never do that. I don't do that. I don't misrepresent. I don't take out of context, because we got the Bible right here. It's right there. And you can look at it. What I do is go to the older text to see the more horrific parts. You want me to show you an example? You want me to give you an example? I'll just do this for fun. Let's see here. Here you go. Moses said to his generals, "Have you allowed the women to live?" He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that the Lord struck a plague on his own people because these women lured men away. Now kill all the boys and every woman who has slept with a man, but say for yourself, every girl who has not slept with a man. Okay, that's cool, right? But I actually prefer the older way to say it. Let's check this out. Hold on, wait with me for a moment, friend. Un moment, s'il vous plaît. You want to go, was it the King James Version? I don't normally go to the King James Version, so I don't really know, but it's worth looking at to see what it says. New King James Version. And go. Okay. Let's see here. No, it didn't change. Why didn't you go? Go, maybe? Go. I hit the go button. Sorry. I'm old and stupid, right? You already pointed it out. Let's see here. Hold on, I'm getting there. All right, hold on. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? This is the King James Version that you like. Person who said he liked the King James Version. Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known man by lying with him. That means pregnant women too, right? Pregnant women. Then he says, verse 18, but all the women children that have not known a man by lying with them, keep them alive for yourselves. You see how there was a difference? In this one, it didn't just say all the boys. It actually specified. I didn't. This wasn't the one I was thinking of. In fact, I think I mentioned that. This one says, now kill every male among the little ones. Go murder all the little baby boys. Moses saying that right there. You're going to convince me that that's not what I'm saying? Or he's saying this, I'm taking that out of context somehow? Was that what that is? Moses is some sort of fucking hero somehow? Spread the waters in a basket, little baby, right? Yeah. So, but the one, I don't remember which version, my favorite version, I don't remember which one it is, but the one I really like is the one, I think it was the older. Obviously, the older you go, the better, right? Let's see if we can find, this was in, let's see what it says. In the Orthodox Jewish Bible. Here we go, the Orthodox Jewish Bible. Now, therefore, slaughter every zakar among the little ones, and kill every isha that hath known ish by lying with zakar. You know what that means, right? Do I need to go explain this? But all the girls nashim that have no das of lying with zakar. You know, yeah, so this is the same thing. But notice here it does say, but all the girls. The other one said the women children. The first one just said children. Here, though, it's actually quite specific. Now, for slaughter every zakar boy among the little ones. Fascinating, isn't it? God creature. Moses commanding the murder of children on the command of God. And you know, you could argue that that's not actually God telling them to do that. You're right. That is not God telling them to murder the children and the women right there. That's not God. Because had they listened to God, the women and children wouldn't have been alive to begin with. That's why Moses was mad at them for letting them live. Peaceful, loving, merciful, disgusting, pathetic, horrific, God creature, love and mercy. Let's do this one. Next up in the bark bank, a clergyman with a holy hustle and maybe a few unholy loopholes.
Hi, Barks. Blessings and belly rubs to you all. I'm Father Flanagan, and today I'm here seeking $50,000 for 3% of my soul-saving startup, Holy Halos, the world's first, soon-to-be, church-approved condoms. Following the ways of the Lord can be hard and often require sacrifices of the flesh. Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of Holy Halo condoms.
Hold on, Father. The church very much doesn't like condoms. How do you expect to sell these?
Well, you're right, but these aren't just any condoms. No, my furry financiers, these are permeable. But every single halo has been dipped in holy water, a divine divider between you and sin. You can finally frolic freely and still keep that sweet spot in heaven. Permeable, but dipped in holy water to keep the sin out, but let the babies in.
Lets you get your stick wet without getting your stick stuck, if you know what I mean.
Oh my! Very embarrassing every time.
So basically, they don't work as condoms, but they let you get away with having sex without going to hell?
Exactly. The church gets to keep making babies, but you don't have to keep going to confession. Think of it. No more guilt. No more awkward "I'm saving myself for marriage" speeches. With holy halos, you can take those pray hands and turn them into lay hands.
Didn't I read that holy water is full of bacteria like E. coli? Won't this be harmful to women's health?
The words are English, but I don't understand the question.
How are you addressing the issue holy water presents for women's health?
Again, I'm not understanding.
She does that. Well, we don't get it either.
Is that mesh from a window screen?
Ah, that's a keen eye you have there, young lass. Yes, yes. Another fine selling point. Rough on the outside to increase her shame, as it should be. But soft and smooth on the inside, internally lubed and ribbed for his pleasure. We even have custom scents.
Scents? Now you have my attention. What flavors we talking? Don't pitch me that vanilla missionary nonsense, Padre.
Well, we do have virgin vanilla, but we also have miracle mint and cooing camel and my personal favorite, sweat of the Savior.
And the Vatican, they've blessed this endeavor?
Well, not exactly. I'm still waiting on the papal decree one way or the other.
I love it, but you're asking 50 grand for only 3%. That's rough, Father, real rough.
Not running with the big dogs on this one. I'm gonna stay on the porch.
Me too. Good luck, Father. 15%.
Ouch, 15%, that's highway robbery even for the church.
Come on, Father. We're dogs. We know a bone when we see one. 10%, and we'll even bless your branding.
Look, meet me in the middle, 7%, and I'll baptize all your puppies.
7% worse for me. Father Flanagan, it looks like
Wait a second. Our producers say we have a special call-in bidder. Let's get him up on the screen. Folks, we have the guardian of the sacred fire hydrant himself.
Oh no.
Defender of the holy tennis ball and eater of the golden kibble, Pup Oliver Poops a Lot the Fifth.
Flanagan!
Yes, your poetry.
50,000 at 20%.
20%?
And you get to keep calling yourself a father.
Sold to the pup in the very fine hat.
I knew you'd see it my way.
You're very wise, your hiney. Would there be anything else?
You may leave.
Father Flanagan's line of holy halos, ultra thin, spiritually thick. Available in 3 sizes, conservative, medium, and liberal. Now, here's a couple things I want to mention. I took the earphones off, man, they were killing me. Thank you, Spherens, for pointing out where it is okay to beat your slave to death as long as it takes more than 3 days for them to die. It's okay. Yeah, God says so. Thank you for that. J6 says you're twisting indentured servitude to make God look evil. Evil is pure evil. No, I'm not. You intentionally lying about it. It was not indentured servitude. It was fucking slavery. Now, if you were a Hebrew slave, so if you were the same tribe or same group of Hebrews, then you had to be released after 7 years, or given the option to be released. If you chose not to be released, to stay with your master, then you would go through a special ceremony and get your ear pierced. You might do that if maybe you'd gotten married and had children while you were, gotten a wife and had children while you were a slave, because they can't go with you. You can't take them with you. So you have to either leave them or stay as a slave. But I do think that applies to maybe even the women, that they, after 7 years, can also be let out of slavery. But that's not the same as indentured servitude. This is bond slavery. I mean, no, it's not. This is not bond slavery. This is chattel slavery. Like I said, they can't leave. And then this is, again, only for those people, those one people right there. Anybody else that's a slave, what do? They're slaves for life. True, pure chattel slavery. All the way. No 7 years of hope. Matter of fact, there's even a story in the Bible, I think, where, one guy goes through the 7 years. Anyways, long story. Here we go. But I wanted to mention here that this individual, this whole slavery thing is, you're just lying to yourself. You can lie to yourself all you want to. Here you go. Soy says, that's where I find the truth, but from the whole chapter, not just a verse that lines up with what a liar once said. He's talking about me. I will mention that, it really does. I don't really have time to read out the whole chapter on the show, man. I really don't. How many chapters have I read from? 5, 6 different chapters? I don't have time to stop and read from the entire chapter. However, I do give you the chapter and verse, and I often do look up and I do mention things as to why they're doing what they do. Remember, even the one where Jesus was talking about how much you should beat your slave. If he knows he's done wrong, you should beat him many times. If he doesn't know he's done wrong, you should still beat him, but with few blows. I did point out that was a metaphor. He was talking as a metaphor, right? I put it in context. You guys are the ones that lie. You're the ones that take it out of context and make it look like it's soft. Jesus was being nice somehow. So here we go. All right, so I want to read something for you. Exodus 13:1. The war. So for those of you listening, your God creature is horrific. It commands the sacrifice of children. Moses, Exodus 13:1. The word of the Lord came to me, son of man. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this Ezekiel? This is Ezekiel. Sorry. Exodus. Where did I move it? Okay. Don't go away. Hold on. Exodus. I got carried away. I got carried away. I must have clicked on it and went off of it. All right, Exodus 13:1. The Lord said to Moses, consecrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belong to me, whether human or animal. That's God creature demanding the sacrifice of children. Now, I'm not going to read the entire rest of the chapter. I will tell you that essentially the next paragraph is Moses telling them God creature murdered all the children of Egypt. And therefore, because he did that for you, he requires you to kill your firstborn. Let's read that together, though. Then Moses, it's going to be a little wordy, okay? All right. Then Moses said to the people, commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, because the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand. Eat nothing containing yeast. Today, in the month of Aviv, you are leaving when the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. You are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7, right? You want a context. It plays out. For 7 days, eat bread made without yeast. On the 7th day, hold a festival to the Lord. Eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. Nothing with yeast in it is to be seen among you, nor shall any yeast be seen anywhere within your borders. On that day, tell your son, I do this, sacrificing him, because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. Am I taking it out of context? This observance will be for you like a sign on your hand and a reminder of your forehead that this law of the Lord is to be on your lips, for the Lord brought you out of Egypt with this mighty hand. You must keep this ordinance at the appointed time, year after year. After the Lord, now, so they're talking about sacrificing your children and when you should do it, and these other things that they talk about, the ceremony and the leavened bread and all that. Now, hold on a second, hold on. Verse 11. Verse 11 says, after the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites and gives it to you, as he promised on oath to your ancestors, you are to give her over to the Lord, the first offspring of every womb. All the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord. Here's the catch. Redeem them with a lamb, every firstborn donkey. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn among your sons. So he's telling you at this point, you can redeem your sons at that point without having to sacrifice them. But up at the beginning, there was no redemption clause. No, you had to sacrifice. The whole time from the time Moses commands them in verse 13:1 until they reach the land of Canaanites, they are supposed to sacrifice their firstborn sons, period. And if you read this, they do, right? Then when they get to Canaan, verse 13, or verse 11, go look for yourself. Go look, am I lying? Go look. After the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, then you may redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. But not before then. You can't redeem things before then. Once you get to where you're going, you can redeem them. That's God commanding the sacrifice of the firstborn children to Moses. Twice. I mean, you can still do it if you don't want to redeem your calf, right? Now, some people, it's Christians in the chat, some of them may be going, well, in this scripture, it tells you not to sacrifice your children. Yeah, they had to say that, didn't they? Because people were sacrificing their children so much. They don't say in there, hey, don't jump out of airplanes, because nobody was jumping out of airplanes back then, right? So if they put it in there, like, don't have anyone who has sex with an animal should be put to death, that tells me they were it was a thing. It was bad enough that they had to put it in a holy book. And they had to tell them to stop sacrificing their children. And now there's another place right here in Exodus 13, or Exodus, where it tells you, is it Exodus the second time? Another time where God tells them to sacrifice their children. However, we'll skip that because that's a time-consuming thing. Now you're going to think I'm a liar, and I'm taking it all out of context, despite that I read you the whole thing. Am I a liar, or is your God disgusting? Which is it? Does your God command the sacrifice of firstborn children? Are you going to lie and say he doesn't? You can't say God doesn't murder babies. You just can't say that. You can't. I mean, 10th plague, right there, I got you. 10th plague, got you. Done, boom, done, boom, done. God murders babies. So right there, he's commanding them to sacrifice their children to your God. Is Jesus God? If Jesus is God, Jesus is commanding Moses to murder his own children, firstborn sons. Is Jesus God? But let's go on. There's more. Yeah, there's more. Because you think I'm lying. You think I'm taking it out of context. I've shown you the context. I've shown you what happened. You know who these people are. These are the people who left Egypt and who are wandering in the forest, lost in the desert. Who will end up being lost in the desert. Well, let's go on. Let's go on to Ezekiel chapter 13. Is it Ezekiel chapter 13? Might be 20. Here we go. Okay, so he's talking about, in Ezekiel 20, he's talking to Ezekiel, God creature, and he's telling him about the story of what happened to Moses and his people. He refers to them. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Yet the people of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. So we know who we're talking about. They did not follow my decrees, but rejected my laws. Okay? By which person who obeys them will live. And they utterly desecrated my Sabbaths. He's talking about Moses and his people. So, down here, because he gives lots of reasons why. So you can go on, oh, well, he says he did because of this, they were bad people, and they did, yeah, because they weren't worshiping the way he wanted them to. He spends an entire huge fucking paragraph talking about that. For their hearts were devoted to their idols, yet I looked on them with pity and did not destroy them or put an end to them in the wilderness. I said to their children in the wilderness, do not follow the statutes of your parents or keep their laws or defile yourself with their idols. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decree and be careful to keep my laws. Keep the Sabbaths holy, and they may be signs between us. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. Okay. So then, but the people rebelled against me. Remember? I said the golden calf. The whole golden calf thing where Moses goes up. And, anyway, they rebel and they worship the old gods of Egypt from where they had been allegedly captive for years. So, down here it says, also, with uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would disperse them. I'll keep wanting to read more of it so the person doesn't lie and saying I'm taking it out of context. So, because he's telling you what he did. So, they were bad people and didn't do the praying that I wanted to. They worshiped their parents' idols, lusted after their parents' idols. So verse 25. This is Ezekiel 20, verse 25. So I gave them other statutes that were not good and laws through which they could not live. I wonder if all that about the unleavened bread and all that shit, I wonder if this is what it's talking about, where he just told them that weird shit about eating weird bread just to fuck with them. Because he says so right here. He says so right here. Because I gave them other statutes that were not good and laws through which they could not live. I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn, that I might fill them with horror so that they would know I am the Lord. What kind of God do you worship again? So this is your God creature bragging about telling Moses and the people who came out of Egypt to sacrifice their children. Right here, God. Not only can you go look at the scriptures where he does it, you can see the scripture where he brags about it. Am I a liar? Am I lying? Out of context somehow. This is out of context where he literally says, I made them defile their own sacrifices. But I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn. I am a liar as much as the serpent was the liar in the garden. Of the garden, the serpent was the only one telling the truth. Well, he wasn't the only one. In fact, of the garden, the only person who lied, the only individual who lied was God. God was the only person who lied. God said, you will certainly die if you eat from that tree. Satan said, you won't die, and you'll have the knowledge of the gods. They didn't die, and then they had the knowledge of the gods. God even confirms that at the bottom of the thing. Now look what they've done. Now they have our knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil. And you can't say, well, they were going to die. They were never going to die. They were going to live forever. But by doing that, they lost their eternal life. No, because God says the very next line, let's kick them out of the garden. That's why he kicked them out of the garden, so they couldn't eat from the tree of eternal life, for they would live forever. So they weren't going to live forever. He lied to them and said they would die when they ate from the tree. The serpent told them the truth. They would not die, and they would know the things good and evil. Who lied? Even Adam, who threw fucking Eve right under the bus. Eve wasn't there when God told Adam not to eat from the tree. But Adam was there when she ate from the tree. And when God creature came back, he's like, what the fuck is going on? Why you guys ain't showing me your dick and pussy anymore? I like it better when you're stupid and naked. Why are you not naked? For some weird reason, I like my ignorant people naked. God does, apparently. And what did Adam say? Eve, meat bus. For the woman that you gave to me, ate of the apple and gave it to me. He blames her right away. But he's telling the truth. He is telling the truth. The only one that lies in the garden is the serpent, or is God. The serpent tells the truth. So, but see, that's the whole deal. We're gonna argue about that. We're gonna debate that. How would we debate that? Would we go in there and we did it on the show one morning where I went in there and I went to Genesis chapter 2 and showed where God tells her, tells Adam, you will certainly die. She confirms it in the next chapter when the serpent asks her, God said this? And she said, yeah. God said, don't eat from that, or we will certainly die. He said, you will not certainly die. You will know right from wrong, good and evil. Who was lying? Interesting stuff. All right, guys, I'm off to save the world. You guys have been fantastical and wonderful and all that other stuff. Let me read my super chats back and see if I missed them. I may have. Let's see here. Hey, Sama Medicine says 600 years ago, the fraud who created the shroud predicted cameras would be created. You know, I want to mention that the guy that we have contemporary evidence of the shroud not being genuine. Somebody at the time when the shroud was allegedly created, when it first popped up, the first time it came out, somebody said, that's not real. It was made by somebody else. We had somebody at the same time. You can't say that about Jesus. Jesus doesn't have a contemporary. We have more contemporary evidence that the Shroud of Turin is fake than people have that Jesus is real. Now, the Bart Ehrman, there's a thing. I really got to go look it up. There's this one thing where it says that there's I saw that there may be a letter from Pilate that mentions Jesus. If it does, that would be fantastic. Is it the Jesus? Don't know. I'd have to look. That's one hurdle you got to jump. But even if it was the Jesus, that still doesn't mean he has supernatural powers or any of that business. So, oh yeah, Beard of Empathy says I need to. Okay, all right. So don't pay attention to the credits. I will take care of the credits. I will get them up to date. It's just they're just behind. It can be a tedious process, but it's worth it. I need to do it. I'm a bad Chris, so I will get them taken care of. There we go. Give me this up over here real quick. Man, I appreciate it. You guys are so wonderful. I thank you for all the support. I make those funny commercials. My old computer was on its kind of last. It just couldn't hang with the stuff we were doing, and I got a new computer, and it costs. So I thank you for all the support, and of course the cocaine and hookers and sinning and blaspheming and that stuff through. It all goes for that naturally. But I have abortions every weekend. You know how it is. Binary Ghost for $5 says, you ever notice how a lot of times there needs to be a physical intermediary for miracles and wrath? That's a good point. Needed a flood, couldn't just poof people away. That is true too. God's all about the fear, the most horrific ways of death. Drowning, getting gobbled up by the ground, eternal fire. What a horrific monster you have. I mean, for those of you, there's more that happened in the desert when they were wandering in the desert. At some point, remember I talked about the manna that they were eating, manna from heaven. Well, it kind of sucked because they were being punished. It wasn't tasting delicious manna as they were being led by the Lord through the desert. No, it was yucky stuff that kept them alive while they were being punished for worshiping the old gods. So it was yucky stuff. And whenever they complained about the manna, God sent snakes to sting them. Wise, wisdom, loving, kind, thoughtful, fatherly. And again, there's Korah, the story of Korah and his tribe. He and some of his tribe went down to Moses and said, hey, we don't like the way things are going. We're lost in the desert, man. You can't get us out of there. We think there should be different leadership. Moses said, bring your entire tribe to the meeting tomorrow. They did. And the ground swallowed them all up. Because God is forgiving and love and wise, does things with wisdom and patience. This is God, tormenting and murdering his own people in the desert. You can't see that. He's pulling the flies off of wings, and they are his own people in the desert. Binary Ghost, this is the idea that Christianity I find poisonous. Everything good as a result of your work is to the credit of God. Everything bad is a result of your free will. You weren't doing as you were told. That's true. I find it disgusting too. To sit there and, for a priest, especially the pastors and priests, to tell people to feel that way. People don't make that up on their own. They're led that direction. And I just find it's just, give all the glory to God. Why? What the fuck? God ain't got enough glory? I ain't got no glory. My closet is full of glory. His closet is full of like foreskins and glory, and I have no glory. I just have one foreskin. Well, I don't, because apparently my parents were Jewish when I was born. Thank you, Easy Los. Take care. It is better to do good than to let bad happen. Isn't that interesting? You say that until you try to excuse why the priest is raping little children and the pastor, the God creature, doesn't step in. Why is it better to do good than to prevent the bad? But no, he doesn't. Free will, right? Free will. Got to respect that man's free will, of course. Her free will, though, fuck her free will. Or that little boy's free. Oh, hell with them. Their free will doesn't matter at all. For those of you who don't know, that's some part of the faith part of the religion, where you'll believe just fucking any bullshit. That's part of that. This whole free will thing is their excuse for why their God creature is powerless to stop bad people from hurting good people, to stop bad things from happening, etc. Remember this? Some of the Christians really, what was that one guy? He talked about, the Christian pastor, evangelist, talked about how the hurricanes were because of the gays, and the floods were because of the gays, and the tornadoes were because of the gays, and all that, and then his house got flooded. I don't know. I guess his Grindr account slipped out. I don't know. Je ne sais pas. Thank you for the $10 super chat there, Binary Ghost. I very much appreciate you. Ivy Ann 99 says, for £9, says, hi. Also, Ezekiel 4:12, God tells them to cook their food on human poop. His ways are higher than ours, obviously. I want to mention, we're really digging on the Ezekiel. I hope I surprised you and you didn't know that in Exodus, it tells them to sacrifice their children. And in Ezekiel, it brags about it. I hope y'all didn't know that. That's cool stuff, right? Is that cool? So, yeah, hi, Moses. I just straight up don't like the Egyptians. Bang, 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 bang. That whole, the more I learn about the experience, you know what the worst part of this whole thing is, my friends? I'll tell you what the worst part of this whole thing is. It's all a made up story. None of it happened. None of it happened. The story of Moses, there's no evidence, none, that any of this happened. There's no evidence of there being Jews as slaves in Egypt at the time. There's no evidence of a mass of people who'd been living in Egypt for hundreds of years, so they would be wearing Egyptian clothes and all of those things, Egyptian food items, and all the accoutrements that go with being somebody who lived in that area. And they would suddenly be a flux of, 2 million people into Judah? No, there's no evidence of that. None at all. None. It's all a made up story. And that you would make up a story of such a horrible and disgusting person and God creature and see that as holy. Have we not heard what the God creature did? He did the 10 plagues and showed his wonder and glory. To show his wonder and glory, he hardened the Pharaoh's heart so he could do that. God creature murdered children as an example. And then he commanded his own people to murder children, their own children. Exodus 13:1 and 2. I'm off to save the world. Oh, I'm still doing the thing. Yes, hey Moses. I think I even have some super chats over here in the horizontal stream. Man, you guys are we have competition nowadays between the horizontal and the vertical. For $5, I for Brennan said, before the Big Bang is a malformed concept. The Big Bang is the expansion of space-time, not an explosion of the universe. That's an interesting point. I want to say, Ifer, is that it could be it could be the explosion of everything into the universe. I'm not saying it is. I'm just speculating here. Right. With the space of before being separate. That doesn't make sense to me either. Before the Big Bang is a malformed concept. Right. But before the Big Bang, like we mentioned earlier, if the one scientific hypothesis is correct, that we are inside of a black hole, then there actually could be a before the Big Bang. And that would be time counted on a scale in another universe. Yeah, interesting stuff. Sciencey stuff. Maybe I'll look that stuff up and we'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. That'd be a fun thing. Because, right now I just kind of spitball what I vaguely know about it, but it's interesting, the whole trapped in a black hole scientific theory. There's something about there's this, the way energy goes into what we know of how black holes work and the expansion of our own universe and those match. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. We'll talk about it one of these days. I am off to save the world. I'm just rattling here. Thank you, my friends. Hey, guys, Christians, atheists, theists, atheists, all y'all be safe. Take care out there. It's really ugly. Be safe. Sin safely, my friends. We'll see you tomorrow.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Confession booth, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the ghost in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goats, the scent that leads the way. Slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink, light the goat